Right now, more than 1 billion people around the world are obese. Can you fucking believe that? Not just overweight, obese. But if we're talking just in America, 40% are obese and 72% are overweight. That's 3/4 of you, and it's growing quick. What's gonna happen when 95% of the world is obese? How are you gonna feel knowing that you in 2024 could have changed his life forever and could have gotten himself out of this trap? Oh, but now it's 2050 and your hair is graying and you're 50 pounds heavier, passing on shitty eating habits and a hate for exercise to your children, and you don't even know if you'll live to see your grandchildren grow up. This future that I just described will be the average man in 2050. Just imagine yourself in this scenario. Wife doesn't respect you, kids are overweight, they don't respect you. You're pre-diabetic or diabetic like everyone else in your neighborhood. Boy, does he wish he could go back in time to right now when he saw this video and decided to change his life, so that he can be the first in his family to show them how strong and how beautiful the human body can be. So before I go on and you guys start talking shit, and you're like, who's this guy calling me fat? I don't like it. I want you guys to know a little bit about me. So my name is Logan Tisdale, and 2.5 years ago, I was about as out of shape as a stale fruit roll-up. That was until a friend brought me to the gym and I was hooked. Since then, I've been obsessed with building up my strength and my physique. I fucking love it. And my life has absolutely changed for the better. People respect me at first glance. I don't have the littlest struggle for confidence. I feel like a man should. I'm proud and people are proud of me. So I'm basically here to pass on what I've done, what I've learned to you for the goodness of my heart. And it's all free, so watch the full guide. So this full guide doesn't cost you a dime, but you have to think about it another way. What it could cost you is a life just like it is now. Continuing, getting worse, actually. Gaining more weight, struggling even more to get it off because you don't know how. People around you are slowly becoming overweight. This is not a future. Deep down, this is not a future you want. So if nothing else, do this for yourself. Watch the full guide. I'm gonna be sharing with you how I changed my diet, made it so easy to gain and lose weight just like that. How I edited my training and actually started growing, unlike these other teenagers around here who think they could just walk into a gym and get big. And then the mindset, which is actually first, so I should have mentioned that first. The mindset you need so that you can't fail. You cannot fail with this mindset. I'm gonna share that with you now. So in a world where it's normal to be so fucking fat, you can't fit in airplane aisles. It's more important now than ever to take control and responsibility of your physique. And not just your physique, your health, bro. So let's get into the mindset. First of all, I'm not gonna bullshit you and tell you this is easy, because why should it be? It really, at first, it really isn't. But that makes sense. It's a huge shift. Change is hard. But I want you to answer this question. Why does it have to be quick and easy? Why does everything have to be so quick, so easy, so simple, so seamless? Why can't you struggle? Why can't you go through the mud and the flames, brush yourself off, go back in? Because that's what gives it value. If everyone walked around with 16-inch arms and abs like it was nothing and they didn't have to work for it, then it wouldn't be as valuable, would it? It's difficulty that makes it valuable and beautiful. This is hard, but I'm gonna do it anyway. This is what you should be saying to yourself. And in the end, people will see that you went through something difficult, and you'll see it too, because you were right there, and that's something that no one can take away from you, no matter who you are. If you look into any hero movie or Greek god story or any tragedy, anything like that, the hero of the story had to go through loads of shit to get them to where they are. And if you've been paying attention, the more they struggle throughout the movie or the story or the book or whatever, the more they struggle, the more powerful they become. You may not be religious, but think about Jesus Christ. His whole life was struggling. Think about Rocky. Most of you probably know Rocky, right? Rocky Balboa. That whole movie was him fucking eating shit. But it's okay, it's alright. It's because he wanted to be the greatest boxer ever. So start to think about it like this. Your struggle is your hero training. Because in this movie of your life, whatever, you can choose to adapt from the struggle and become the hero, or you can choose to just see the struggle, feel it, and decide not to do it. Like, come on, bro. It's not a life, man. Go through your hero training every day, whether that's the diet, whether that's the strength training, cardio, whatever. Doesn't matter. If you have a notebook and you've been taking notes, write it down. The harder it is, with you still getting through it and showing up at the finish line, the harder it is and you still getting through it, the more powerful you'll become. Oh, but what if I'm not motivated every day? Brother, no one is motivated every day. No one has a perfect schedule to hit the gym or has a clear schedule to hit the gym for exactly 1 to 2 hours every day. It's inevitable. You're going to run into roadblocks. You're going to feel unmotivated at the worst times. You're just going to feel like not doing it today. But this is exactly when you pull out your secret weapon. This is the weapon that top Olympic athletes, business executives, and even monks pull out in times of difficulty. They draw this in times of struggle to ensure that they don't miss. And this weapon is called discipline, bro. Discipline is a skill that will change your fucking life. I go more in depth in the brute force community how to develop the skill of discipline, but to put it into simple terms, discipline is doing, like Hamza says, the hard thing, especially when you don't feel like it. So discipline comes just simply when you realize you have balls between your legs, sucking it up and performing anyway. There's really no hack to discipline. I do teach it, but it's not something that you can just snap your fingers and have. You need to decide whether to do it. Okay, welcome to the presentation part of this full guide. So here I'm going to sort of explain how the diet works, the general skeleton, the outline, everything you need to know, essentially for right now. So this is like the calorie continuum, just as it says. Here you'll multiply your body weight by one of these numbers to find your daily calories. Okay, so if you're like me, which probably not the case, and you're trying to gain weight, mostly muscle, you'll multiply your body weight by 19 to 21. So right now I'm sitting at about 185 pounds. So if I multiply that by 21, my daily calories should be 3885, which is pretty accurate. That's about what I'm eating. Let's say you're about 250 pounds. You want to lose weight fast, but you don't want to be super unhealthy and missing out on a lot of nutrients. So you multiply that by 9, 250 times 9. It's 2,250. That's your daily calories. As easy as that. Take a screenshot of this, put it down in your notes, whatever. If you want to maintain weight, just pick a number within here. And guess what? If you're losing weight too fast, move up a number. If you're losing weight too slow, move down a number. As easy as that. And also you can use this calculator, which is really fucking love this calculator. So this is, I'm very active. So I'll calculate my TDEE, my total daily energy expenditure for weight maintenance. It'll tell me, well, it's around 3,200 calories per day. So I can use that as my maintenance and then just kind of adjust based on that. So I'm gaining weight, 3,500, 3,800, whatever. This isn't going to be 100% accurate because no one really knows how many calories they're actually burning, unless you have like some scientific weight tracker or like energy thermal conductive bullshit device on you, then you'll never really know. But this will give you a very accurate, it is very accurate, it's not 100% accurate, but it's a very accurate representation of what you are burning. So now that you know that, you better know this. 1 pound of fat equals 3,500 calories. And your maintenance minus your new calories, if they're lower than your maintenance, is your deficit. So you're burning 2,500 a day. Your new calories are 2,000. Your deficit is 500 calories. It's not that hard of math. Also, if you're losing 500 calories a day, that is 3,500 a week, so it's 1 pound of fat a week. Carbs, this is the first macronutrient. It's probably the most abundant macronutrient in everyone's food, and carbs are extremely important, and I want you to really pay attention here. So carbs, what they do is they break down the quickest into usable sugars for the muscles, which is called glycogen. It's like sugar water. It saturates the muscle, and you're able to use it like quick energy, like diesel fuel. Very useful to take carbs before and after a workout. Before, to make them stronger, bigger, more capable of loading them with weight, and after to replenish that glycogen that you just burned up. So not only will your muscles be stronger on carbs, you'll also get a bigger pump. So you're gonna look bigger, like in a good way. Also, when we tweak your calories for weight loss and weight gain, 80% of that is probably gonna come from your carbs because of this little phenomena right here. More carbs will spike your insulin even more, which makes you even hungrier, and then therefore makes you easier to gain weight. If you have less carbs, the reverse is true. You have less insulin spikes, which means you're less hungry all of the time, which makes it easier to lose weight. And 1 gram of carbs equals 4 calories. So carbs will control your hunger, and also we don't want to be taking away from something like protein, because if you're losing weight, then it's not going to make sense to take more protein, because then your body's going to be like, okay, we don't have as much energy and we're going to need to pull it from somewhere, and we don't have enough protein to cover the costs of what we're taking from the muscle. So it's going to struggle taking more from the muscle than it should and taking some from the fat. So keep your protein the same, or actually increase it. Other than that, everyone knows what protein does. Repairs and builds the muscle after a workout. But protein also has the added benefit of being very satiating, meaning that increasing your protein will stave off your hunger for the next few hours. And the best times to consume protein are breakfast, after lifting, and then dinner. I don't know why I mixed that up. That's whatever. Is to keep your protein in high supply most of the time, so that you're not, like I said, dissolving away, eating away your muscle while you're cutting weight. And just like carbs, 1 gram equals 4 calories. Now let's move on to fat. Fat is mostly useful for different reasons. They give you a more sustained and long-term energy source, but they also help you absorb certain vitamins that are only fat soluble. And everyone needs fats to produce hormones like testosterone and DHT. Very important hormones for losing weight and keeping your manliness, making sure your balls still work. You would not be able to function without fats. And also, because fats take a longer time to digest, it's very important you not take them pre-lift, because what's going to happen is as they're in your stomach's already going to be struggling to digest it, and when you're lifting, you're pulling blood away from other systems into your muscles so that they are able to perform at the highest caliber. So as you're pulling blood away from your stomach, it's already going to be struggling. So you're just essentially having rotting food in your stomach, and it's not going to want to deal with that. So it's going to give you the urge to throw up, and sometimes you will throw up. And 1 gram equals 9 calories. So with all that being said, let's say if you're now cutting, you want to lose weight, lose a pound a week, you need to lose 500 calories per day. So you're going to set your new calories below maintenance, 500. Again, like I said, easy math. Take your centimeters in height. That's going to be your protein. Give yourself around 120 grams of fat. Fill the rest in with carbs. Boom, there you go. So let's say I'm coaching Jimmy. Jimmy's 6 feet tall, he's 30, and he works at an office job. 275 pounds, barely moves. He tries to get 5,000 steps a day. Jimmy is burning roughly 3,087 calories a day just to maintain his weight. So now if I was coaching Jimmy, I'd drop them to about 2,587, like I said, 500 below maintenance. And he's roughly 176 centimeters tall, so I'll keep protein at 176 grams per day, which is 704 calories. We'll give him a limit of 120 grams of fat, so that's, 1,080 calories? So now Jimmy has 803 calories left, which almost exactly fits perfectly into 200 grams of carbs. Give or take 3 calories. So 176 grams of protein, 120 grams of fat, 200 grams of carbs, 2,587 calories a day, and boom, now he's on his way to looking like Brad Pitt. Now you might be thinking, whoa, hold on, how do I know how much fat or carbs or whatever I'm consuming? And well, it's so simple. go into the description, download this app called Chronometer. You literally scan your food, boom, puts it in for you. It's so easy, and you can set your own goals. You can track your weight. It tracks literally almost everything. So yeah, just download that, get that set up. It's super simple. If you upgrade to like Pro or something, then I can track you. I can literally see what you're eating. It's such a cool app. Just go get it. Now I'm gonna leave you guys with a cutting tip. My number one cutting tip is called modify, don't replace. So you need to modify your foods, not to replace them. If you like the foods you're eating. If you don't like the foods you're eating, then definitely replace them. If you don't like the ice cream you're eating all day, just fucking give it up. You don't need low-calorie ice cream if you don't like ice cream. Just go eat some green beans. So the whole idea is to modify the food that you're eating in a way that it has lower calories, lower carbs, things like that. So an example would be like low-carb buns, low-carb hamburger buns. I think normal hamburger buns are like 150 calories and low carbs like 75. So now you're already saving 75 calories per burger. You know, that's, if you eat 4 burgers like me, that's quite a bit. That could be your whole deficit right there. And guess what? If you're not too picky of an eater, you don't even notice. So definitely use that tip. So now let's move on to bulking. Bulking is the exact opposite of a cut. It's the intentional gaining of weight, preferably in muscle. Bulking is just the complete opposite of a cut. You're increasing your calories to gain more muscle, which will come along with fat. But the idea is that in the future, you will do another cutting cycle, strip off that fat, and show everyone what you worked for. So bulking is what I've been doing since December. I'll throw up a picture right here of me in December. Boy, was I skinny. I think it was like 157 pounds. Now I'm about 185. So 30 pounds in about 6 months. That's right on track. So how do you bulk? Well, I'll tell you how. In terms of calories, increase them above baseline by about 300 to 500. So if Jimmy wanted to bulk, I had to put his calories at 3,587. I would keep his protein within the same range, but just increase it just a little bit because more calories and to account for new muscle growth. So 180 grams. I'll keep his fat the same at 120 grams and fill in the rest of carbs, which I think is about 450 grams of carbs. So now he's actually gaining 1 pound per week. And if he's doing his training right, that should be about 60% muscle. My favorite bulking tip is to drink calories. So I have this amazing egg shake I make. It's like about 6 raw eggs, 2 bananas, half a cup of whole milk, 860 calories. But boy, you can drink that in 10 seconds. If you really tried, you drink that whole thing in 10 seconds and it just fills you up. There's a ton of protein. It's a liquid meal. It has like evenly distributed fat, carbs, and protein. It's amazing. It tastes great. You guys should definitely try it. So drink your calories. If you can make shakes, that's amazing. And then you can use the modify, don't replace in the opposite favor. So if you like diet soda, start drinking the regulars. I know soda's not great for you, but I've even resorted to using soda just to gain weight. So yeah, you can use modify, don't replace in the other direction too. Chapter 3, cardio. Yes, I know it sucks. No one likes cardio. It's probably everyone's least favorite part of training. But remember what I said earlier. Those who are willing to go through the suck will come out the other side as winners. Those are the ones who succeed. And cardio, yes, cardio will be a part of your program no matter whether you're like 300 pounds, you're like me, bulking, or if you're super skinny, you're still gonna do cardio. I'll tell you why. Training the heart and the lungs is just as important as training every other muscle. Because what happens when you gain so much weight, so much muscle, you're straining your heart and your lungs. Like me, if you gained 30 pounds of lean tissue in the last 6 months, your body's not used to it. It just isn't. So if I didn't do my cardio, my heart would be pumping at roughly the same intensity. My lungs would be breathing at about the same rhythm, but everything else would require more oxygen and more blood. So what's gonna happen? I'm gonna get dizzy. I'm gonna get weak. just in my head, I'm gonna get confused. I'm not gonna be able to perform at my highest potential because I'm not getting enough oxygen where it needs oxygen. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna assume you're just now doing cardio, like you haven't done it before consistently. And my advice is do 15 minutes of jogging-esque cardio. So that's like, you're not exactly walking, you're not exactly sprinting. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm a little gassed, but I can keep going. 15 minutes of that, you should be just fine. Literally, it doesn't matter what, like cycling, swimming, whatever you like, just doesn't matter. But if you're in the cutting phase and you are a pretty big guy, I'd recommend doing 45 minutes of cardio on average per day. And that's still the jogging kind of cardio. Also, dude, the energy, just the buzz you feel right after a cardio session is nuts. It's so different from a pump. Like, yeah, you feel good after a pump. You feel a little weak, feel a little lightheaded, but you feel good. Cardio is a different animal, but the same beast, if you know what I'm referencing.
What the f does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
So definitely do your cardio. All right, chapter 4, the part that everyone is looking forward to, if you're anything like me, hypertrophy and strength training. I'm gonna cover this now so I don't need to later. Do not be afraid to go into the gym. I see a lot of people, bigger guys, skinnier guys, doesn't matter, beginners to the gym, who feel subconscious going in there. They feel like everyone's making fun of them secretly in their head. They're like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. People are judging me. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm scared to ask because they make fun of me. Guess what? No one gives a fuck. And I'm not saying that to hurt your feelings. I mean, I'm saying this to liberate you. Literally no one cares that you're a beginner. I mean, they actually do like that you're beginning because you're starting a new journey, and it's a healthy journey and it's a good journey. But they look past that. They don't care that you're struggling with how to do a certain exercise. Because guess what? Unless they were born looking like that, which no one is. No one's born looking like me or Arnold or like any other gym bro. They were either big, as in fat. They were either fat, chubby, or like skinny. 95% of all beginner gym goers were either skinny or fat. If you look at these guys who are so much bigger and more experienced than you, they're not going to be making fun of you because you are what they were. They know what it takes, and they were exactly in your shoes. They know how it feels to not know everything. So get that out of your head. They're not making fun of you. Now we can move on to the meat and bones. Is it meat and bones? I don't know. We can move on to the meat of this entire video, which is what makes my programming so successful, and how has it gained me so much size in so little time. I'm going to share that with you now. It is my honor to present to you the 3 bastions of the brute force programming. To everyone's brute force program, how I've gained muscle and how I've gained so much strength. Technique, intensity, progressive overload. Technique. Now, if you take a minute and think, yes, it makes sense that when I'm lifting, I should be lifting correct. I should be doing the exercises correct. So that's why it's the first pillar. If you're going intense and you're loading more weight than last time, it doesn't matter if you're not even doing it right. So that's why technique's first. What is good technique? What makes good technique from bad technique? Obviously, bicep curl technique is different from lat pull down technique. And they're 2 different movements, but there are some common denominators that you can use for literally any exercise. Number 1, reaching a deep stretch. The stretch is the opposite of the contraction. It's the harder, well, it's not the harder, it's the most painful part of the lift. In the bicep curl example, it's when the weight is falling, when you're releasing tension. This portion of the rep is the most stimulating for muscle growth. It's also kind of the most uncomfortable. So I want you to try this right now. Get on the floor and try this. Pause the video. You're gonna do some push-ups. Do some push-ups just going through the top half of the movement where you're not exactly reaching the ground. And then do some push-ups where you're going from the ground to halfway up. So the bottom half of the movement. You're going to experience a bigger stretch and a wider sense of discomfort when you're on the bottom of half of the movement. Gonna be more difficult, you're gonna get sore, but it works. This can be applied to any lift. If you're squatting, go ass to grass. If you're benching, make sure the bar touches your chest. Lat pull downs, let the bar pull you almost out of your seat. Multiple studies and experiments, and even my own experiments, attribute the most muscle growth to this portion of the rep. You can even do partials, where like if I'm doing a lat pull down, it's just the hardest half of the movement where I'm all the way stretched and then halfway contracting. Make sure when you're doing your sets, your muscles are stretching. Next, we have mind-muscle connection. This is the second part of good technique. Force the brain to connect to the muscle, to focus entirely on the muscle that's contracting, to blur out anything else. Mind-muscle connection. It's the ability for you to focus 100% of your mental power into the muscle of which you're working. So you're doing bicep curls. You're not going to be focusing on the music you're hearing, what you see in the mirror, the sweat dripping down your face, or the people walking around in the gym. Your focus is entirely in the pain in which you feel in your biceps as you curl the weight. You need to be able to feel almost every single muscle fiber contracting and extending. Why? Well, let me put it a different way. Would you be any good at playing the guitar if you couldn't feel anything with your fingertips? Or would you even be good at playing the piano if you didn't know where your hands were or had a rough idea of how your wrist works? No, you'd be shit. The same applies to weightlifting. If you don't know how your muscle is working, you're gonna end up doing it the easy way and just cheating or doing an easier part of the rep or whatever. Here's what Arnold has to say about this.
I think the biggest mistake is that you go to the gym and you go through the motion, but you don't really have your mind inside the muscle. So when you do a bicep curl, I can't just stand there like this. Yeah, you can. I've seen the guys training with me also 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, but they look like shit. And why did they look like shit? Is because they didn't concentrate. They did the same exercise, but they stood like this and then they looked sideways, kind of like they were bored, because they didn't even know why they were training. They were not inside the bicep. I tell you, you got to be inside the muscle.
They didn't concentrate. That's why they looked like shit. Here's another actionable step. Bicep curl. Right now, if you have weights, it's better, but if you don't, it's fine. Just take your arm in the lengthened position and then slowly raise it up like this, palm up, as if you're lifting a weight. Close your eyes and only feel what you feel in the bicep. Do a few reps, just going like this. Now, if you do it with some serious weight, like 20 plus pounds, that's exactly how you do bicep curls. You'll notice it feels a lot better. You're able to focus more on how you're moving your arm. You get a better pump. And congrats, you just did your second workout watching this guide. I'm gonna make you do more. Hooray, you get a gold star. Now, number 3 is tempo. That's the third part of good technique. Tempo is exactly what it sounds like. It's the rhythmic movement of which you do your reps. Obviously, bad tempo looks like this. You're just throwing the weight around. Don't be retarded. Don't do shit like that. So tempo is like a song that stays steady in beat, up for 1, down for 2, or up for 2, down for 3, whatever, doesn't matter. My general advice, just don't go super fast, don't go super slow. As long as you're staying consistent, that's all that matters. But once you start practicing your tempo, when you're doing your lifts, I don't want that to be top of mind. I want it to be second in mind. The first thing you should always be thinking about is the mind-muscle connection. Now that's how you do good technique. Now let's move on to my favorite part, and also my least favorite part, and that's intensity. Now this is when you force your muscles to work, to grow. Intensity as a principle is really lacking from most people's programs. If you walk into a gym, look at most people lifting, They'll lift a lightweight until you see some discomfort in their face, and then they'll put it down and go on their phone for 3 minutes on Instagram fucking Reels, watching brain rot. I know this because I have so many lifters in the gym that I go to who do this exact same bullshit. They're half doing their sets. They're half, like Arnold said, they're just going through the motions. They're not focusing on the muscle and focusing on how intense they can push it. That's why they don't grow. That's why they look like shit. I'm not about to give you the best workout or the best workout program you've ever had and have you not even try. This is why intensity is so important. But this is after you figure out technique. Once you have technique, then you can push your muscles to their fucking limit. Shock the muscle and keep it guessing. Oh, but does intensity really matter? Answer me this. Does muscle growth come easy? Did you grow too much muscle this year? Did you get too strong on accident? No, it doesn't. It's hard, it's difficult, and it requires effort. So you tell me how you're gonna grow using moderate exertion and mild weights, half-assing your fucking potential. I'm not being a dick. I just want you to get this in your brain. When you step in front of that mirror with dumbbells in your hands, you better be ready to do some fucking work. Because you didn't sign up for the gym to do some easy bullshit. You came here to grow. And you're not going to leave without accomplishing that. And this exactly is why most other programs don't work. Because they tell you what to do, but they don't teach you how to work hard. And what does it matter anyway if you have the best program ever if you're not even going to try? That's the most important part of the training equation. Progressive overload. Now here's a concept that works. If you lift more weight and you do more reps than last week, you're gonna grow. You're gonna get bigger and you're gonna get stronger. If you keep just using the same weight week over week, your muscles are only gonna grow to a certain point. They're only gonna adapt to that stimulus. So you must keep pushing them. And actually, in most experienced gym goers, this is how they track their progress. They're going to be excited to add 10 pounds to their squat or do one more set of lateral raises. The metrics they're tracking with progressive overload, the weights, the reps, the sets, and the frequency of what you lift. So like how many of the same workouts do you do in 1 week? So that's how progress is mostly measured with gym goers. Increasing any one of those variables, that'll get them growing. Why this is so important to track your lifts is because you're gonna eventually stop increasing your weight. Like subconsciously, if you just walk into a gym, like when I was a kid, I would always just pick up the 20s or the 25s and then just do some bicep curls. And then I would never even try the 30s because I just knew they were heavy. I never even looked at the 40s. Now I can curl 55s, no problem. I didn't have that idea in my head. I had no idea. I always did 10 reps because that's just what Arnold said. But you got to do more reps, more weight, more sets, whatever. So it's important to know that you are progressing because stronger muscles are bigger muscles on average, usually. That's just how it works. And you're not just going to be fooling yourself into thinking you're looking bigger than you were. Because if I just stopped tracking everything and I just kept lifting, I might grow or I might look the same and I wouldn't really know. Does that make sense? I could just be deluding myself, looking in the mirror, thinking I'm bigger, but actually I might be getting weaker. So I'll give you an example of how to implement this. So let's say you can only bench 135 for 10 reps. So next week, when you do chest day again, you can do 12 reps of 135, or you can do like 140 for 10 reps. I would recommend increasing the reps before the weight because I made this mistake of going into the gym and benching almost like every other day. And I would just keep increasing the weight. Eventually, I did get pretty strong, but my tendons were fucking angry at me and I was just tearing them up. And eventually I did some kind of wonkiness to my shoulder and I couldn't bench for a good 2 weeks. I think I impinged it. I'm not really sure what happened. Man, it hurt. it just hurt like a bitch when I got under that barbell. So avoid my mistake, get used to doing more reps, and then increase the weight once you feel comfortable. Yeah, man, I'm thinking about it now. I was doing like 3 rep, 2 rep, even 1 rep maxes almost daily. It was intense. Yeah, I did get strong, but I felt like falling apart. So putting this all together, how are you going to track your macros, track your calories, track your lifts, get your protein in, do more weight than last time, do more reps than last time, have a workout program to begin with, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to put this all together. This guy. Go to Brute Force. Go to school.com/brute force. It's exactly how it sounds. But goddamn it, is it worth it? It's everything I taught you in this video multiplied by like 10. You have a daily accountability of people in the community interacting with you. We're doing challenges. We're pushing you. I'm giving them specialized workout programs based on their physique, making their diet from scratch, based on the foods that they already eat, showing you how to eat protein, when to eat the kind of protein. There's a certain kind of protein you eat in the morning, there's a certain kind of protein you eat in the night. And man, if you flip those around, it's gonna be kind of wonky-wooey on your digestive system. So go into the Brute Force community. You get the community, you get the brotherhood, you get the advice, you get the one-on-ones. Soon we're gonna be doing live calls and Q&As. It's really an amazing place. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh no, I think I can do it on my own. Man, I hope you're happy when you look in the mirror, because I can teach you to look and feel like a man, look like a god. And if you're telling me that you're happy the way you are and you want to stay exactly what you look like, then by all means, don't join. We don't need you. We don't need people like you. Don't you want to be that jacked grandpa? You know, the fucking grandpa who can do backflips, who can run like a deer, jump over fences, do push-ups, run around with his grandkids. You know, you might be 20 right now if you're watching this, which you're not too far off from me. I'm 17. If you're 20 and you're already going off in a bad direction, it's even more important now that you fix it, go back to square one, and start doing this now. Because if you get too old, man, those habits are going to be super ingrained, and it's only going to get harder. So if you want a place to learn, a place to grow, and a place to grow muscle, go to Brute Force.